for joining me today. I do appreciate it. I am hopping on here real quick to let you know the order of which I am going to do the flip through of Learning Language Arts Through Literature, the Red Book. There are a few components to this program. We have the teacher's guide, we have the student activity book, and we also have the readers that come along with the readers are in chapter form this year for second grade. I'm going to try to wrap it all together and show you a side-by-side day of a lesson with the teacher's book and the student activity book. For some reason, it doesn't work out like I have it, I have it planned in my head how I'm going to do it. If it doesn't work out, if you have any questions or you would like to see a lesson, with Remington, let me know down at the bottom. I will be glad to film a lesson that we do during the day, have you kind of get a better look at it if you are interested in this program. But I'm hoping, that I can give you a pretty good look at the difference between here, the blue book. You can kind of look at the blue book and then the red book, and you'll see what Remington was talking about when he was like, it's about this much over my head. I'm going to flip the camera around, and I would love for you to meet me on the other side of this YouTube segment. All right, here we have Learning Language Arts Through Literature, the Red Book. And the top book here on the farm is the reader for the first lesson in the Red Book. And it's more of a chapter book. Each week you focus on a different chapter in the reader. Because the Red Book is set up differently from the Blue Book, I'm going to try and show you the teacher's guide and the student guide together, and hopefully I can present it in a way that you get the full picture of how the student guide works with the teacher's guide. Okay, so here is the student guide, lesson 7, day 1. And the chapter that we will be working on is going to be Storm Saves the Day. And this is from the chapter book On the Farm. And this is how the student would look at his book and follow along with you while you are reading your teacher's guide. And as you can see up here, letter A, listen to your teacher as she reads Storm Saves the Day in On the Farm. And here is the teacher's guide for lesson 7. And at the top, you can see where it gives the new skills, review phonics. So that is the review from a previous lesson. And then the new phonics that you're going to be teaching in this lesson. And on day 1, if we go to A, in the teacher's guide, it says, find the story, Storm Saves the Day, in the book On the Farm, and read it to your student. Then it gives direction here. Discuss the story with your student, and it gives you some discussion questions if you aren't familiar or if you're not comfortable with giving discussion questions, if you need a little bit of help, or if you just like things planned out for you. You have your discussion questions here, and it even gives the answers that the student should give. And the answers don't have to be exact, but they should be somewhere in the ballpark there. And then C says, read this sentence with your student. And the student has in his student guidebook the same sentence. Letter C says, read this sentence with your student. Storm pulled on the rope and lifted her up to safety. and goes into the ed ending in the words, such as pulled and lifted, and then gives the explanation here. And then D in the teacher's guide would be read this sentence with your student. He dropped one in down to Meg. And again, you would go over the ED and explain what the ED is. And E says, ask your student to read the words in the phonics word box on page 94, and then fill in the blanks using one of the words. So it gives instructions. And then F gives the spelling words for the week. So let's hop back over to the student guide so you can see what your student would be looking at while you are giving these instructions. C here is Storm pulled the rope and lifted her up to safety. And then the instruction would be circle the words that end in ED, and they would circle pulled, lifted, and then go over the phonics fact about the ED rule, and then 1 through 5 spell out the words by adding the ED appropriately. And then letter D, have them read the sentence, or you can read the sentence. He dropped the end down to Meg, and again circle the words that end in ED, with this phonics fact being the ED can say t, as in dropped. Okay, and you can see in their grammar guide the words that they will be spelling using the ED and the ING. The ING is from the previous week. We're going to make sure that they remember how to add the ING to these words. And then they would read the phonics words in the box and put them in the correct space with the correct sentence, and then copy the spelling words for the week, which would be here. So I will give you another glance at the teacher's book right quick. So now you can see where the student would be copying hopped, hopping, mopped, mopping, and filling in the blank with the correct word, and then copying their spelling words for the week. And if we put these side by side, you can see the teacher instruction and how the student would respond to the instruction in their textbook. Filling in the blank using the words from the phonics word box, and then copying the spelling words. And again, here is how the student guide would look after giving those instructions. And then day 1 would be complete, and you would move on to day 2. And they would continue building on what they learned the day before. Complete the activity page. Here is an example of a handwriting assignment for the week. The student would continue here. And you have day 4, reviewing the word list, reading the sentences, reading the book The Bravest Dog Ever, and then talking to your teacher about the story. That's where the additional literature comes in. And then day 5, they read Storm Saves the Day. They have an activity page, discussion, and then the spelling test. Continuing on with the teacher's guide, more teacher's notes, and then having them find page 99 in the student activity book. Day 3, reviewing the story. Day 4, and day 5. And then you end your week with the spelling test. And the spelling test is optional, but it is a good exercise for them. And if we go to the front of the teacher's book, it lists the chapter books that come with the program. Talks about the assessments, and then the additional literature talks about the student activity book. This is where it discusses the first 4 lessons in the book. Here is what an assessment would look like. And that is a look at Learning Language Arts Through Literature, The Red Book. I hope that you have enjoyed this flip through today. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them at the bottom and I will be happy to discuss them with you. I hope that you have found this helpful today. Until we meet again, be good to each other. Bye-bye.